are interested in the unknown, the mysterious, the unexplainable. That is why you are here.
Hello, Jamie and Vicky.
Hello.
Let's all hold hands and enter the tomb of the Cybermen.
Oh dear.
We don't want to show any video during our review, so we will just we will have to make do with the DVD case for today. Hello, Jim.
Hello, Jason. How are you, sir?
I'm fantastic. Good to see you again. You picked out another great episode. Thank you. Tomb of the Cybermen.
Yes, indeed. One of all-time favorites.
Yeah, very worthy. Very worthy entry. A lot of interesting things to talk about this one. One of the lot of great stuff in it. A lot of kind of silly stuff in it. A few silly moments. Some sort of incidents that BBC is famous for with sets and special effects, but we'll get into that in a little bit. A lot of interesting things about this episode. I guess this is the earliest Patrick Troughton episode that survives in its full form.
Yeah, that's complete. And it's funny, I remember when it was first recovered. My friend, hey, imagine this, in high school, I was a nerdy kid. Imagine that. Wow. But there was this kid I was friends with, Jeff Peck, and he was like a major Anglophile. He loved Doctor Who. He loved Blake 7. He loved Space 1999. He loved Monty Python. Anything that was English, he absolutely loved. But he had a subscription to Doctor Who. I think it was called Dreamwatch Bulletin. But he's like, Jam, you gotta read this.
Sounds
and
familiar.
He said he showed me the magazine cover and it said Tomb of the Cybermen found. And I was like, oh wow. So I think it was found in 1991, came out on video in the UK first, and then it came out here later too. Yeah.
So so aside from being the earliest Patrick Troughton episode that survives in fullest, which I guess the preceding episode, the preceding storyline would have been the season 4 finale. This episode was the beginning of season 5. I guess it was called Evil of the Daleks. Which sounds freaking awesome. I wish I could see that. Do you know offhand, have they done like any kind of reconstructed episode or like a animated one?
I'm glad you mentioned that. So glad you mentioned that. Hold on 1 second. Just bear with me a minute.
Oh, so Jim going into his TARDIS of goodies. See what he can pull out of there. All right. Evil of the Daleks. Looks like an animated version.
Yes. Episode 2.
Did they use like original audio or?
Yeah, the nice thing about it is a lot of fans back in the 60s, they would, of course, no VCRs back then, but they could record the audio, so they did that. So they have all the sound for all the episodes, but just not, the video. So they just took the sound and they made, and they took, from the telesnaps, they just kind of reconstructed the best they could.
Yeah.
So now they're kind of in animated form. I don't know if you can see the back there, but kind of give an idea what it looks like.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen a little bit of animated Doctor Who stuff. I think there was like a web series back in the early 2000s. I seem to recall an actor named Richard Grant, I think, played the Doctor.
That's right. Yes, that's right.
But never really. Yeah, that was it. But yeah, back when internet was still kind of new and they were trying stuff out, like releasing animated series and stuff, and so I guess this is also the earliest Cyberman episode.
Complete, yeah, because before they first
Complete series,
appeared
yeah.
in William Hartnell's last serial, yeah, the 10th Planet,
Right.
um, which was Far Part. Yeah, and it's crazy they still haven't found part 4 yet. I'm hoping somebody will, but yeah, it's crazy. All these years, they haven't it hasn't turned up yet. And then they appeared in the Moon Base, another good episode, and I think they refer to it in Tomb of the Cybermen. They mentioned the Moon Base,
Oh, really?
and then finally yeah, I think they refer to it. I think, um, and then here, Tomb of the Cybermen. I guess this will be their third appearance. So yeah,
Cool. So, yeah, I
yeah,
guess, I definitely think, I don't know how official this is. I used to read, books about Doctor Who all the time, haven't in years. And I assume, Daleks are Nazis. So I assume that Cybermen are Russians, I guess, communists, Soviets. They sure seem that way to
yeah.
me.
I guess that would make sense. I guess because you will conform, you will be like us. We're going to
Hmm.
reprogram you to think like us, and yeah, that could be. Yeah, I know the guy. Yeah, I do remember the parable of the or the allegory of the Daleks are Nazi, especially the one episode where they're kind of putting up these suckers here. They're kind of putting it up almost like a Nazi salute. And yeah,
Doing
I guess
Sieg Heil with their toilet plungers.
yeah. There, I think it was the Dalek invasion of Earth, and you see them. They're waving. They're pointing their plungers up, almost as like
Okay. I think I've got that
yeah.
episode
So
on DVD, but I didn't notice that.
okay, haven't seen in a while, but I do remember that scene.
Yeah, yeah, it has been a
Um,
while.
I guess
Yeah,
that
it's
could be.
wild
Yeah,
when you
I
think
didn't think about
about.
that.
Yeah, I mean, when I was a teenager, first getting into Doctor Who, these episodes, the 1960s seemed impossibly long ago, just ancient history. And then, World War II was even farther away, than that. But, they were, Daleks came around like what, 1963 or something? Just
Yeah,
20
yeah,
years earlier, the British, of course, were fighting the Nazis, which, like, today would be just like, 2004, 2005, something like that, which does not seem like a long time ago at all from the perspective of now. So those, you could see why those Daleks were so scary and so relevant
oh
to
yeah.
1960s television.
And I
And
forgot
of
that my
course, yeah, there was still the Soviet threat going on, the Cold War. So the Cybermen had a lot of, were very fierce and scary. And I used to think the old-fashioned Cybermen looked, not that scary, but I can appreciate them more now. I think they look cool, the old 1960s
yeah, yeah,
Cybermen. So,
yeah.
you want to start
I
with
for,
like the plot, what happens in episode 1?
yeah. So basically, they just recruited Victoria.
Right.
I think they were like in the 1860s. I think from 1860s London, and the doctor shows her the inside of the TARDIS, and she's just in total shock. Can't figure out what this is, and he just says, "Well, we use this for flight," and she goes, "Flight."
Mm,
And he's like, "Oh no, don't laugh. It's real. This is a real time machine." And the first place they stop is Telos,
right.
which was a planet.
That's the
Where
10th planet, isn't it?
I think that was Mondas. I think.
Oh, okay. So this is not the Cyberman home planet.
No, no, I think that blew up.
Okay.
I think so. This
Oh,
is
right.
Telos.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like
Yeah. Yeah.
this
This planet is
tomb.
definitely called Telos or Talos.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
So
all right. So I'm sorry. Let me interrupt you. So the evil
sure.
of the Daleks, does that take place in Victorian England?
It's actually both. It takes place. It starts out in 1967, but then they go back in time. So it actually takes
Okay.
place in two different time eras. So yeah.
Oh, that sounds super cool. And so then, so Vicky is not just named Vicky or Victoria. She's actually from the Victorian era, or was she from 1967?
She is, yeah.
Which era did she come from?
She came from the Victorian like era, I guess
So,
like
all right. So they did pick her up
yeah.
in the past, not from 1967.
They did, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. All right. All right. And so yeah,
Uh,
you could tell from the episode they just got Vicky. She just joined them on the TARDIS. Of course, Jamie is a stalwart. When I think of Patrick Troughton, I think Jamie is a companion that comes to mind immediately. And
yes.
what happens?
Love Jamie.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
basically, it just so happens this expedition is on Telos, and they're trying to recover the remains of the Cybermen. Um, so
Very
they
wise.
find the tomb, and they find these double door, these like heavy metal doors. And
Mm-hmm.
of the women says, 50 pounds to whoever can open this door. And they're all kind of, and finally, this one guy steps forward. But as soon as he touches the doors, he gets this electric shock, and he
Mm-hmm.
just falls dead. Then
Quite a
the
shocking moment, literally and figuratively. That was
exactly, yes,
quite a moment. One of the characters just gets fried a few
and
minutes into the
pretty
episode.
horribly too. And you can see his like
Yeah,
blood. He's like, I think his hands are
yeah,
bleeding,
yeah, yeah. It was pretty severe.
and sometimes you forget it was still marketed as a kid show back then.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
it never really felt like, I don't know about you, but it never really felt like a kid show to me. It just always
No.
seemed, I don't know, too sophisticated, I guess. But
Yeah. I mean, when I was
let's
really
see. So
young, yeah, it just seems so weird and scary. Things like my early memories of the Ark in space. Yeah, the
oh yes,
horrible insects running around, laying their eggs, and humans in hibernation, and it was all this gooey, gross stuff, and yeah, so scary and
bugs
weird
are
is
just great
what
villains.
attracted me to it.
Yeah, no, it was. Especially the classic episodes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so as soon as this guy, touches the doors, the metal doors, and falls, they happen to hear this very familiar sound that they don't know, but we know, the viewer knows. The I guess the of the TARDIS, and of course, who comes? The Doctor, Jamie, and Victoria
Mm-hmm.
come walking around, and of course, the expedition they're a little suspicious. They think they have something to do with this man's death, the person that tried to open the doors, and um, he says, "No, I can assure you, it's not us." And he was actually able to figure a way to, I guess, de-electrify, for lack of a better word, the doors.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that one giant, the big guy, only able to open the double doors, and they go
Right.
in, and they enter the tomb.
Which is awesome. I kind of reminded me of The Prisoner, and some like
Yeah,
Carnival of
yeah,
Monsters kind of had that too. When they went into the guts of the mini scope, it looked very cool and abstract when they were inside the
yes,
machinery. And yeah, the Tomb of the Cybermen has all these weird symbols
yeah,
and
very.
stuff lit up, and yeah, it was a very cool set design. Which yeah, a lot of Doctor Who episodes had.
It's kind of cool because almost it reminds them of like a horror story, because the sets, kind of how they made them, are very closed, so you
Mm-hmm.
kind of get a feeling of claustrophobia, a feeling of you're trapped. So I thought that was very, really clever how they did that.
Yeah, I mean, just about everything takes place inside the
Um,
tomb. About like 90% of the episode. So I mean, that was
yeah,
good.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, it does have. I mean, British horror does have a certain feel to it, and yeah, I would say Tomb of Cybermen has that in spades. So like also uh, uh, Pyramids of Mars is one that comes to mind. Where I think that just feels so much like British horror that it feels like it
yeah,
could be
yeah. It's a classic. Yeah,
an episode of Hammer House of Horror, something like that.
yeah. No, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Gotta watch more of the House of Horror series. I know there's a lot of them, but I've only seen a few.
Yeah, yeah, same for me. I
Um,
think they're available on YouTube and stuff like that. They're not hard to find, but yeah, yeah, definitely worthwhile.
yeah,
70s English
there's
horror.
so many of them. Yeah. So let's see. It takes a while. We don't really see the Cybermen until episode 2. But I think the episode 1 had a really good cliffhanger with the shot, the guy dies, you see the Cybermen come out from the wall.
Absolutely. I mean, that was a great cliffhanger. I know everyone uses this term right now, but that was a jump scare. That was a
Yes, it
classic
was,
jump
yeah.
scare.
It was, yeah, it
And
was.
and I mean, it's kind of it was a clever way to have a cliffhanger because the Cybermen are all still in hibernation. This is
Right.
this Cyberman that pops out is basically a mannequin,
Pretty much, yeah.
and it's like an automated gun that shoots the Cybermen. It's some kind of target practice thing.
Yes. Like a
I don't know
shooting
if it makes a
gallery, yeah.
huge amount of sense, but it's cool.
It is, yeah, it is.
A
And Dr.
good
Pierre's
shock
the guy who was
ending, and
shot from the back.
another archaeologist bites the dust.
Yeah. Pretty big body
But
count for this.
yeah, and all um, you British archaeologists, they carry on, stiff upper lip. Even though parts of their team, two members of their team have died already. There's never any question of leaving, although their ship has been sabotaged, right?
Yes, they found out, yeah, and we know that one of the crew members of the expedition, it's I think his name was Klieg, Eric Klieg.
Yep.
He's this guy that's in charge of this kind of logician's cult, I guess you could say. They just believe in logic over reason, or logic over emotion,
Right.
and he wants to use a Cyberman to for his own gains.
Mm.
He thinks he can make an alliance with them, but we find out that later he's very wrong.
Of course, yeah, that was not a big surprise to the viewer, I don't think.
No, you could tell that like this guy's definitely the bad guy.
Yeah, and he won't give up
Definitely
either,
bad
even
guy.
when it becomes obvious that the Cybermen don't want to cooperate.
Yes.
Klieg decides, oh, I've got a gun now. Maybe now the Cybermen will cooperate with me or something. He keeps thinking he's going to get one over on the Cybermen, and they're going to want to follow him. I guess take over the universe together. And
I love the one scene where you see them emerging from their, No, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go. I did a time delay. I think it's just making it a little bit
not.
confusing.
Oh, okay, yeah, I think you might be right. I think there's kind of a time delay.
Yeah.
But the one scene where we see the Cybermen come out of their cocoons, he's like trying to talk to them, saying, I've listened to logicians have planned this, are listening to me, and uses his hand, and then it's like, you will be like us. Pretty creepy scene there.
Very much so. Yeah. That is the cliffhanger. Is that I forget? Was it the Cyberman controller who utters that last line? You will be like us.
Yes.
Or was it?
The cyber controller. It's like,
yeah. When we talked about how there's also some silly elements to this episode, the cyber controller costume is not one of the high points of the history of Doctor Who.
Not really, no.
Not one of the best costumes. I can't believe they did not have the conduits on the sides of the helmet, which is like such a classic part of the Cybermen look. And I mean, on paper, maybe in illustrations, the idea of I guess it's supposed to be a glass dome where you could see his brain underneath. But
right.
Yeah, I'm not sure it really quite had the effect they were going for.
Yeah, I think, like you said, it probably looked like a drawing. It's like, oh, it looks great, but when you do it live action, it's like, oh, terrible. That looks really bad. So just like, yeah, so they probably didn't have probably had a tight schedule too, probably with shooting these.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Better how they looked in the 10th Planet when they looked really bad, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the other hand, the episode this was the Cyber Controller's first episode, but the episode also introduces the cybermats, which were about 90% awesome in this episode. I thought.
Yeah, I know they show up again in the series later, I think, in the classic series.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah.
I think during the Tom Baker years they showed up.
Okay. They're kind of creepy, but I like them.
Yeah. Yeah, they there were some scenes where they moved pretty convincingly and they were pretty fast. And I think a scene where like the cybermats attack all the main characters, attack the doctor and the
Yes.
archaeologist and everything. That's probably the most exciting, best scene in the show for me. There's a big attack, and
Yeah.
even though the Cybermen are very cold and sterile and logical, the cybermats they have these bulging eyes. They look totally evil and crazy and like crazy rats or something. So I enjoyed the cybermats a lot. I thought they were cool.
No, me too. Me too. There's gotta be a toy of them out there somewhere, you'd think. But yeah, it's like they look just so like you're not sure what it is, but it's like you shouldn't touch it.
Right.
Whatever. Yeah, you're just not fully sure. If you saw one up close, it's like, well, I don't know what the thing is, but I'm just gonna keep my distance. It just looks. It doesn't look safe.
Oh yeah, with those eyes. I mean, like you would not think a little robot would
Yeah.
need these big bulging eyes, but they had them and they were awesome. I loved it. So and so also it seems like maybe it turns out the tomb was actually a trap. I'm not sure.
Yes.
There's some dialogue. I mean, I guess the Cybermen have been waiting there 500 years, and to open the tomb, it's kind of like a puzzle to see who could be smart enough to open the tomb, because then the
like
Cybermen want to assimilate them. They want to have smart people to assimilate them. Okay, so yeah, so they've been sitting down there frozen for 500 years. Yeah. But no one actually does get assimilated, right? Not, Toberman, I think is his name. He kind of falls under the Cybermen control, but no one actually gets converted to a Cyberman in this episode. Is that correct? Yeah.
He does, briefly for a little while. And then I think he's able to break free, or I remember the doctor kind of bargained with let him go, and then he does let him go with just the eye zap.
That was something I've never seen the Cybermen do before. That I thought looked decent. The special effects were not bad, where the Cybermen use these psychic waves or something to control the human, and I thought that was kind of cool. I mean, especially in the 1960s kind of way. And I've never seen a Cyberman do that before. Use mind control on a human. A pretty cool power.
I guess the one thing I laughed about is that when there's a scene with a cyber controller and the Toberman are fighting, you can see the string as he lifts up Toberman. You can see the string, and then he pull him up.
Of course, I was going to bring that up. That might be the most egregious thing they've ever done on Doctor Who ever. Like, I don't know if because they even show it before the shot where the Cyberman picks up the human.
Yeah.
So it's like it didn't need to even be in that shot. Although I don't know, I don't know how they recorded Doctor Who. If they had more than one camera set up, maybe it was all just done in one take. But they have the shot where you can see the hook, presumably to a harness underneath the guy's clothing. Right. And so then, that, and to give the BBC the benefit of the doubt, I'm thinking, 1960s TV sets would have been a lot smaller. I imagine reception of the BBC would not have been that great. So, compared to watching it on a modern DVD on an HD TV, maybe it did not look so bad in 1967 or 1968.
Yeah.
But then there's the scene where Toberman gets his revenge and picks up a Cyberman, or was it? I think he picks up a Cyberman and throws him against a console. And that scene is also very hilarious, but it's so hilarious you can't be upset about it. He picks up the Cyberman who suddenly I think he goes off camera and comes back holding like a mannequin. It's obviously there's no one in the costume, and it's great. I enjoyed that a lot.
It is fun, definitely fun.
Oh, and then I think the last thing I really want to mention is I believe it's a doctor who makes the joke about someone having a metal breakdown.
Yes. And
So
I
a funny
think
little,
just Jamie just
funny
says
little
like,
pun. I thought it seemed a little bit out of character for the show, but what the hell? It was funny.
completes mental breakdown. And he's like, oh,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. I guess it was a Cyberman had a metal breakdown, or maybe it was one of the cybermats. I'm not sure, but funny joke. And
I was gonna say the one scene where they actually got in trouble for one scene where they break open Cyberman's chest and all that white goo comes coming out of his chest.
oh,
And
yes,
the guy's like,
yes.
oh, and he's just like really writhing in pain. So yeah, apparently they got in trouble for that. But that was a cool scene.
Sure. Yeah. 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 Oh, maybe what was her name? Mary Whitehouse, the woman who was always complaining about violence in Doctor Who.
Good question.
Her last name was Whitehouse. I think maybe her first name was
That
Mary.
actually no. Okay. Was her fan that would write in, just said, "Hey, this is too violent. This is too violent. This is."
She was a prominent person in English life, I think. I'm not even sure of the years, but she was a person who was constantly talking to Parliament or writing letters to the BBC. I don't have the best memories, but she was like the leader of a movement that Doctor Who was too violent, too scary for little kids. I used to know much more about it. So
they just see what they have in other countries on TV.
Yeah.
Show some really violent stuff. It's like, you think that's violent? Watch this. Like, oh god, they'd be horrified. No, I think all things considered, I mean, it does have its scary moments, but yeah, I don't know, it just never seemed like a kid show to me. You know, I know it was meant for kids, and I think it came on a kid's time slot. I think tea time, I think was like 5:30, I guess, or something like that. But yeah, it never seemed like a kid show to me. It just seemed to be too, I don't know, just a lot deeper than that, more sophisticated.
Sure. I mean, I would say that I was always, a bigger Doctor Who fan than Star Trek, but I would say probably about the same level of maturity, seriousness.
Yeah.
Would you say
yeah.
Doctor Who and Star Trek are about in the same level? Appeal
I
to
think
kids,
so. Yeah,
but
definitely
also to
working.
adults.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I knew Star Trek first, definitely.
Yeah,
But
me too. I mean,
yeah,
Star Trek could be quite violent at times. I mean, yeah, people died all the time on Star Trek, and sometimes pretty horribly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So,
I gotta say, like with the fight scenes in Doctor Who don't always look that most realistic, but the fights in Star Trek actually look pretty real.
yeah, that would be something you would expect from the Americans to have better fight scenes.
Yeah. Hollywood coordinator or stunt coordinator, yeah.
A lot of the
Yeah, I think
archaeologists a lot of the archaeologists in this episode were American, which I thought was a little funny.
Yeah, I thought so too. Yeah, they were just hurry up, will you, Rogers? That guy, yeah. So they had some Yanks with them too.
Yeah, it sounded I thought their dialogue sounded pretty American, like lines that they could have said on an American Western. If you isolated their dialogue, they could have, or if you closed your eyes, you could imagine this was a Gunsmoke or something. The way they talked and the lines they were delivering could have totally been a Western.
Called Victoria Vic, and
right, yeah, she didn't like that, did she?
No, hated it.
But yeah, she's if she's from the Victorian era, yeah, I could see. Yeah, I don't know. I guess people from the Victorian era don't like to be called Vic.
Yeah, don't like nicknames, just a full name. But yeah, it's like one thing's for sure, he's not collecting 50 pounds for you or for anyone. It's like, it's something American would say,
So yeah, I enjoyed the episode. Big recommend. BBC releases so many editions; it's hard to keep track of.
Yeah.
But you can get this episode, this DVD off of Amazon. I did just last week, so
pretty good price, or was it a little bit expensive, or
it was moderate. It wasn't super cheap, but I think it was a new disc, and it wasn't too expensive.
it's probably out of print now. Yeah, I know some of them go for a little bit of money, because I think they stopped making some of them, but
right, yeah.
I had one here. It was Terror. Here we go. Terror of the Zygons, which was pretty, like only like $20. So that's not too bad. Another
No,
classic.
not at all. Yeah, that's about what I think I paid. Definitely not more than that.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Yeah,
that's pretty good. Yeah.
All right, so yeah, I think I have talked about everything I really wanted to bring up about the episode. Any last thoughts from you?
I guess, well, for those folks who don't know, so what they would do in Britain, a lot of countries did this, but it wasn't anything really new. But so TV was just meant to be only shown once, and that was it.
Yeah.
Maybe like in a rare occasion twice, but no home video markets. So what they would do was that if the episode was on film, they'd burn the film. If the episode was a videotape, they would just erase the tape and tape something over it.
Yeah,
because
crazy.
they couldn't afford to keep all those shows,
Mm-hmm.
in the same storage unit. It was just it could be too much. So unfortunately, a lot of classics were destroyed. But this is what I'm definitely glad. I'm glad they found, because it was I think it is one of the true classics of Doctor Who, and hopefully they'll find more. We'll knock on wood. I think they will at some point. I don't think they're going to find all of them, but I think they will find more. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah, it's great. I'm very happy I got the opportunity to see it, but then it really makes me want to see Evil of the Daleks, and I can't believe this is. I've always loved the Cybermen, and I can't believe this is the first whole serial with them. I'd love to see some earlier ones. So
yeah, no, they have recreations of the other two, but hopefully they'll find more. I think they found, or they said they found episodes in this TV station in Cyprus, but I think a week later it got bombed. So everything just got gone of all the rotten luck. It's just like, wow.
Yeah, it sucks.
Those episodes we had, they kind of blew up. Sorry.
All right, so everyone watching this video, let's manifest some more Patrick Troughton and William Hartnell episodes. They've got all the John Pertwee episodes. Are there any John Pertwee episodes missing?
No, they have all of them. That's
what I thought.
Between 1970 and 1974, a lot of countries still didn't have color TV, so they would make a black and white copy. So they found those, like, for the Middle East and like things like that. But they just basically colorized them.
But so, I do remember from my Doctor Who days when I was very fanatical, poor Patrick Troughton, only a scant handful of his episodes survived, right? It was like way less than William Hartnell's. It was hardly any. It was so sad.
Yeah. Now there's only, I think, like there's 7. I think he had 26 stories, and I think they only have 7 that are complete. But I think a lot of foreign countries, not as many foreign countries, bought the show.
Yeah.
As they did with Hartnell. So I think maybe like I guess people don't really like change. Probably back then it's like, what? Who's this guy? I'm not watching this now. So
sure, yeah. All right. Well.
All right.
Very very fun episode. Thanks. Good to see you, Jim. And let's
see you guys too.
Call it a wrap, and keep your eyes out. Everyone, make sure you hit that bell so you can find out what the next episode of Doctor Who we talk about will be. Hopefully in a week or two. All right. Bye, Jim.
All right. Take care, man. Take care. It was fun. Bye, everybody.
Bye out there in YouTube land.